Boom, 30 seconds. Okay, cool. I'm turning directly towards the darkness, and I'm like, oh, all right, this one's a little pinchy because now I'm looking into the void directly. Now I have to face whatever I think is there. But then there was this weird sense of comfort because it was like, wait a minute, I'm so busy questioning what I think is in the dark that I'm not actually accepting what the dark is. Like, I'm focused more on the concept. Yeah.
Oh, full body chills.
Yeah.
I'm Joey Yongzhen Liu, educator, researcher, storyteller, and coach. And this is Everyone Needs a Story for the Campfire. This podcast brings you impactful stories each week, drawn from my guests' lived experiences. You will gain inspiration, insight, new perspectives, and hopefully a sense of familiarity and belonging as we explore the themes that make us all at once uniquely individual, yet collectively human. This week, I sit down with Sir Dushon, editor, dancer, and one-of-a-kind creative force. Shon brings two stories to the campfire. One story that breaks down the moments of him facing his fear and then releasing it. In another story, Shon documents his up and down journey to pursue his creative purpose and what it means to persevere against the odds. Shon also takes a walk with me down memory lane, and we swap stories of a very special time in our life when I was his high school teacher and spoken word coach. I'm so excited. Welcome back to another episode of Everybody Needs a Story for the Campfire. I am honored and overjoyed to be sitting in the presence of the artist, the creative, this beam of light, right? This, what I want to call you, a soul guru, inspiration. I am so blessed to have you in my life and to have you here at the campfire to bless our audience with your stories, your learnings, your lessons. This is I'm going to call you nephew because that's what you are to me.
Yes.
Former student, nephew, such a special person in my life. This is Shon, Sir Dushon. Welcome.
Yes, thank you. This is an honor. And hearing that, my heart's fluttering, actually, because I think that's just a reminder of how diligent and soft you've been with us. So just to hear you say that again, I was like, that same feeling. So honored to be here. Thank you.
I'm tripping out that you just reminded me that we haven't seen each other so do we count the number of years? Has it been 8 years?
Yeah. Wait, 8. Okay, so 2016. Yeah, 2016.
No,
8
that's
years.
not possible.
That's gross. No, actually,
2017.
Yeah.
2017. We were
17?
doing...
No, because that was... Wait, well, no, what were you going to say?
Yeah, I was with... Okay, so for everyone in the audience, you were my student. So I met you when you were in 9th grade. And then you are claiming... Now there's a little rift in the story here. You're claiming that I was there. I was your teacher for 2 years. I know I was at Western for 3 years. So I'm not sure where the third year is, unless you didn't come to high school until my second year. I don't know, but I could swear I remember you. Your presence was always there. You were in the fabric of my story at Western. But in any case, if it was 2 years, then it would have ended in 2017, right before I went on maternity leave to give birth to Kamali. And then I ended up being transferred to another school when I was on maternity leave. So 2017.
Yeah.
7 years.
Okay, because I'm such a geek for years, and then
you're the historian. I know.
Yeah. So all right. So brief concept before we started the podcast, it was we're starting to get into. We're all right, hold on, let's save it. So in a sense of remembering just how empty it felt when you left, I vividly remember that was me going into junior year. So it was I met you my freshman year. So you remember the classroom that you were in before you left, right? On the other side?
Yeah.
So were you in that classroom for 2 years?
Yeah, I was in there for 2 years. So if you don't remember my old classroom, then you came my second year. It's possible that you only know what we called the BSU room, right? You know the little... Okay, that makes sense. So what happens, I remember you then when probably you took the tour, the 8th grade tour at the end of the year.
Oh, for Western? The tour for Western?
That tour? Mm-hmm. Coming up from Orange View? Okay, then maybe it was just the first week of school.
Yeah, I went to Walker. So I wasn't even supposed to go to Western. It was supposed to be a community thing, and then it was no, Western. So it was 2014, 2015, and then I met you second semester.
Okay. Okay. So you came in when I had already gotten moved to the pod. You came in
Mhm.
first year of oral expressions, second year of
Yes.
VSC. Yes. Okay. Now we're putting the
Yeah.
pieces together. I'll say this.
Yeah. Yeah.
When I met you, yeah, I knew you were a freshman.
Hmm.
And right from the first impression, like you were this beam of light. There's just
Oh, thank
light
you.
in you. You're so young, but obviously you're tall, so I think a lot of people expected that you were
Yeah.
older. But you had I felt like from the beginning you just defied any box. Like nobody could put you in a box,
Mm,
right? And you were
that's
just
cool.
this warm, joyful, creative being. Um,
Mm,
and really, like, I got a sense that you just didn't care what people thought of you. You were going to dance like every chance you got to dance. You were going to go up and greet people and talk to people. It didn't matter who they were. You were going to get to know them like on a soul level. Just always so warm. Like you didn't feel any need to try to like be cool or fit in. It was just kind of natural coolness and
thank you.
natural love, light, energy, and positivity. So you came into my world, and I just always remember like you had so much joy for me. Like you walk in the classroom, it was just like a song and a dance. And after school, when we would do our
Yeah.
um, those sessions, you'd come and you'd be like, did you know about, I don't know, you correct me if I'm wrong. This is a memory I have floating in my mind.
Yeah.
You'd be like, did you know about the Moors? Did you know that the Moors,
Yeah.
that they, is that right? Yo, I just learned about the Moors, or like
Oh.
the Black kings and queens. They never taught us about that. Jojo, put that on the screen right now. Like everybody got to see this, right? Like you were just a sponge for knowledge, and you wanted to like talk about just
Wow.
all the theories and all the visions for the
Yes.
future, and like what are we building and what's our community. And so yeah, we were just kindred
Yes.
spirits from the jump.
Oh my god, that was crazy. That shot so many memories because I remember that time where like I had first really gotten into just that research, and
Mm-hmm.
you ultimately, which I'm not gonna disregard what you just said, like everything you said from just your receptivity to me, especially at that time too. Like you've seen like eras of me, so thank you for being so open and so receptive. Like I feel like a part of that expression and that part of me that you did get at that time was more open because of the fact that your arms were so open. Like you were so warm, you were so receptive, you were so open to listen. I think that was like the biggest, one of the biggest factors about you as a teacher was that like you're willing to listen. So at that point in time, it was easy for me to walk in and be like Jojo the Moors and then freeze it, like because it was available. That's why even to be here, like I thanked you. I was like, thank you for even like allowing this space for something like this. So like I have to throw part of that credit to you of just being so receptive. So I really appreciate that. Like you had that inner curiosity so ripe. So I'm throwing that at you. This is yeah.
Like I said, when we were messaging back and forth to arrange this, I was like, this is gonna be a big old love fest. Like we've been family for a
Yes.
long time. Even though we haven't
No,
physically seen
100%.
each other, our hearts have been
Yeah.
connected. And I always
No,
say
for
too, like
sure.
I always say I am who I am because of y'all. Like
Mm,
you
mm,
students, you in particular, but so many of you, like that whole community that we had formed at that time, right?
mm.
Like instrumental.
Yeah.
I don't know where I would be or who I'd be without those memories and those stories that we co-authored in that time of life. And
Hmm.
so creatively, like we were really like, we're not going to be boxed in. We're going to do what feels right for us. Yeah, that was awesome.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And again, you because of course we'll get into it, but like just for how you exhibit like your own freedom and your own expression, like that's contagious. Again, like you having the space for us gave us room to be vulnerable or to be more honest, and maybe other classrooms or other people that didn't share that same connection. So like I'm only reciprocating it because it's like you're holding a mirror to me and I'm holding it to you because I'm like, yo, like I got to really express this because it was available. It was like, hey, this exists. That's where even for like oral expressions, it was crazy even tapping into a side of me that I didn't know held poetry, but you were the catalyst of that. Like, hey, this exists. Like, tap into it, feel for a second. Pasha. Like, what is Pasha? You introduced Pasha to us. Like, where did Pasha come from in your life? I'm curious.
Oh, okay. So the story, I told you guys this, but it's okay. I'll tell it again. And also for context for the audience, like some of what we're referring to, Shon and I, is that not only was I a language arts, a high school language arts teacher, but we formed this club, BSU, which is students have been asking for years, Black Student Union. And then in my second year, that when Shon joined us, I had written curriculum and started a course that the students had asked for specifically to explore storytelling, narrative, and spoken word poetry. And the spoken word poetry was originally just a unit in the course, a bigger course on oral expression, so all forms of spoken word. TED Talks was a unit in it. But the spoken word poetry is really what captured your hearts and minds. And we really tapped in and realized that there was so much space in this art form for us to write and heal and then speak and impact and instruct our audiences, and then would go and perform on stages and competitions and all this other fun stuff, right? So you asked the story of Pasha. Pasha came to me. That was a gift to me from my first group of students when I was just graduated from college. I had no idea what I was doing. I graduated with a linguistics and Italian degree, like thinking I was just going to go move to Italy and eat pasta and live like a romantic life. But I really had no idea of like job direction or anything. And then I graduated UCLA and I was like, I had this opportunity to go with a nonprofit and teach in schools in Tanzania. I was like, that sounds really good. My heart feels pulled towards that. And I also had an opportunity to like study a master's in architecture. I'd been accepted to architecture school and I wanted to like build sustainable buildings. And so I did that summer crash course program. And then I did the fall in Tanzania and I was having to like decide between the two, this fork in the road. And in Tanzania, my students there were like, Miss Joey, you were meant to teach, never stop teaching. And I said, okay. And like, I've literally been fulfilling that promise ever since. And in Tanzania, one of the things I learned from one of my Tanzanian co-teachers and what we would do with the students is that whenever they needed encouragement to share out, to express their ideas, this was also like unlearning some of the things that had restricted their voices and made them feel like they couldn't speak out. But we would do this exercise called Pasha, and you'd rub your hands together. It's making the fire, right? You're making the fire, and then you're sending the fire and the love and all the energy that that person would need to them. And we do it all collectively, the whole classroom with Pasha, to the person that's gathering their insights, their courage to speak up, to share out to the class. And we would Pasha them before and we would Pasha them after. So that was a gift that was given to me by my Tanzanian classes. And then I brought into our classrooms there in Anaheim, and it became so important in like, I didn't know it would become what it became in oral expressions, but because we were exploring vulnerability together in such deep ways, and what does it mean to use our voice, and what does it mean to heal through some of these more sensitive stories, that collective act of like, I'm making a fire of love and encouragement and acceptance and warmth and giving you everything you need, like it really sustained us in a lot of our practices.
Amazing. I actually do remember part of that story and just like the fire. And I mean, to your point of just us all experiencing that vulnerability together, like I really feel like that it was like a huge state of encouragement, like as you're mentioning. And it was so, I feel like it had this nuance, especially because it came from you, because it was like, here we have this example of a light who's, again, so receptive, so welcoming, and so opening to listen, that's providing a force, providing some form of comfort, more of this comfort that already comes from you, and allowing us to do it, us channeling it, instead of it being like, oh, like, go Pios, like, go on Pio. Like, this felt more intuitive and more spiritual. It felt more energetic to be able to show like, hey, like, you know, now I'm thinking about naturally when you rub your hands together like this, like it warms up. So to physically do that, and then and then we hit the poetry, we hit whatever we need to get out, or we're crying on stage like that. Now I'm with this. First of all, you explaining it, I was like, oh my God, I'm hearing JoJo talk right now. This is great. Like, holy shit, this is great. And then just to those memories of being there and like looking forward to going to first period. I don't want to go to school, but the fact that there's some place that I know I could express myself and feel safe. Like, so thank you for Pasha. Thank you for the whole thing, because it's insane,
Mm,
actually.
mm. You said something that I'm just sitting with. You said that what Pasha became to you all was a way that you could support one another, like on a peer level. It wasn't just teacher directed, and that's where I
Yeah.
couldn't anticipate what it would become. But you all really showed me so much that I could have never planned for or predicted, and taught me. I wrote about it and published an article actually on that time. It took me
Ooh.
years. It took me
Yeah.
like 2 years afterwards to really like sit with the experience, but it was hard. Like vulnerability for me as a teacher was hard, especially when you're like put in these like professional boxes and you have these responsibilities on you. And I'm always thinking about like, I don't want to cross the line. I still want to be the adult, the
Mm.
mentor, the caretaker in this space. But a lot of these exercises we're going through, I still had things to heal from. You know, I still, as a human being, I still have
Sure.
things to heal from. And we don't, as guides, as teachers, as mentors, we don't suspend our humanity when we're working with students. But there is this like, it is a dance, right? When you're working
Yeah.
with young people, that I think a lot of it is lost in maybe modern, I would say, especially American culture, but that tapping into other cultures. That was part of our course too. Remember going through our origin stories and like tapping into like what some of our cultural expression was.
Oh
Um,
my, yeah, actually, yeah. This is when I found out I was Blackfoot Indian instead of
oh yeah.
the piece of me that I thought was Japanese. Like, and so, yeah, a lot of discovery in your class.
Mm-hmm.
Holy shit. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Self-discovery for sure. It became something. I knew I was facilitating a space for self-discovery for you all. I was surprised by
Yeah.
how much I had to still discover myself in that process. And
Mm,
so the thing that really blew my mind and I can remember back on was watching you guys teach me how to continue the vulnerability past my comfort zone. So there were moments like when you mentioned like crying on stage, no one ever cried on stage before they cried in the classroom. Like the tears always started in the classroom first, right?
yeah,
And then
yeah,
it
yeah, for
became like,
sure.
how do we, is this okay? Like, is it okay for people to be
Mhm.
this vulnerable? Is it safe for
Yeah,
people to be exploring these deep emotions? Do they need to have more privacy? Like, I'm holding all these questions in my mind. Like, how
yeah,
do we navigate this? And you guys would just rise up and like meet the need in the moment. Like, there would be just these, I
mhm.
would look up and there'd be just these like mosh pits of love, like people just hugging each other.
Yes. Oh, that's a
And like
great sentence.
comforting each other. And the thing about
Yeah,
that though, what was beautiful, it would be like a 3 or 5 minute hug, however long, right? And then it would be,
mhm.
let's get back to work. Like it was never,
Yeah,
not to glorify like productivity or rush or anything, but it would be like the need was met and then
yeah,
we're moving forward and we're moving forward together. It
yeah.
was magical. And what was even more
Absolutely,
magical
absolutely.
was when we'd take it to the stage, we would invite entire audiences and be like, yo, these are the rules of the house. When you're here
Yep.
and you're hearing these poems, you're gonna pasha with us. Because one thing about like
Yeah,
these are sacred stories, so if you're gonna hear them, it's gonna be nothing but love. It's gonna be nothing but acceptance and safety. It might make you feel uncomfortable. We invite you to breathe through that. We invite you to feel the love we've conjured up for you through that. But what you're
mhm.
not gonna do is let my poets get on stage and feel like crickets, right? Like what
Yeah,
you're
for sure,
gonna
for
do is let
sure.
them feel like
Yeah.
this is not as magical and dignified and honorable as it absolutely is. So that was
Mm.
such a dope time.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Even like, I mean, I'm really, I don't know if you hear me. I feel like I'm back on my like poetry environment shit where everything's like, like, yeah, because I feel like what I'm receiving right now is just like full context to that time and like the
Mm,
intention. Because I even have a question for you. Like, it's cool getting that behind the curtain of like you having those questions about like not crossing boundaries and still wanting to maintain that relationship, but also build in a different way that allows us to, again, express the way that we want to. So hearing this, I'm like, damn, it's in a sense for me, it's like humanized you a bit more because it's like, oh, like in a way that I was like, wow, like you're just this light creature and exploding with everything. Like you're also having those very human thoughts and making sure that you're
yeah.
careful, making sure that you're still following curriculum and wanting it to still be beneficial in the way that you deem necessary. So my question for you is like, and from my experience, like there was no time where I felt you crossed any boundaries. I felt like you exceeded and did so much more, and I feel like you were such an example even to like other teachers of how to really connect with students. But how did you maintain not crossing those boundaries? And did you ever find yourself maybe in a state that was like, damn, this is kind of hard right now, like I don't know where to go, especially through like you still healing?
Ooh, that's a great question. I would say it's like the answer is in the both and, right? So I was
Mm,
both challenged every day. And when I think back to my experience of those years, it felt like the easiest, most magical, most intuitive time of my life. So even though those
mm,
questions were there, I've experienced much more blocks and limitations and self-doubt in chapters beyond that time, like whether I was going through academia, I would say even now as I'm navigating entrepreneurship, that time, though I was challenged every single day around those questions that you just named, it
yeah.
also was such a natural, intuitive time for me. And I want to thank the teachers that went before me, and I also want to thank my ancestors for
Mm-hmm.
like,
Come on.
really like empowering me through all that. Because
Yeah.
for example, now that I'm here in Taiwan, I've come back to the
Mm-hmm.
homeland, right? And it
Yeah.
reaffirms so much about my identity at that time that felt so natural.
Mm-hmm.
I'm here in a place where I can drop my children off at school, and my children are greeted by their teachers with a hug. When I
Wow.
pick them up after school, I literally hear a row of teachers walk my daughter out of her school, and every single one of
Mm.
them tell her, "I love you. See you tomorrow. I love you. See you tomorrow. I love you.
Whoa.
See you tomorrow." Right? So
Wow. Unheard of. Wow.
yes, like the form, and I even had many conversations with my father. So my father, who I started off my times in Western, I was estranged from my family. So
Okay.
he actually came back into my life, I think that year that you came, that second year. He visited my
Wow.
classroom. He came to some of the poetry events. He came to some BSU events. He saw what I was doing. And for him, he didn't bat an eye at how motherly I was towards you all, right? At how it
Wow.
was natural that that there was 3 meals a day being had in my classroom. There was children literally eating breakfast, lunch, and dinner in my classroom. It was a home.
Yes.
And for
Yeah.
him, he didn't bat an eye. And I realized it was because it mirrored so much more of what his cultural experience, like literally this was ancestral information that I never got to experience because I didn't
Mm.
grow up in Taiwan. I grew up in the US, but it
Yeah.
was innate in me that as a teacher, you are a family member. And I remember one of the first things I would say to my students every year is, I'll be whatever family member you need me to be. Big sister, auntie,
Wow.
uncle, mom, dad. Like I
Yeah.
definitely don't want to overstep boundaries and be like a mom and dad if you have one. But if you need a figure like that, I will be what
Yeah.
you need me to be in that way. But it was definitely family. Like being a teacher,
For
having the
sure.
privilege to be a teacher was family. So shout out to my ancestors and my
Mm.
culture for protecting me to
Yeah.
embody that.
Yeah. Shout out to them.
Yeah.
Yes. Wow. That's ah. It's cool. Again, I feel like I'm just getting like the behind the scenes of everything, and even you mentioning like us having breakfast, lunch, and dinner inside of your classroom, like it was like another wave of warmth with these memories. And I just specifically remembered like Jabri and JR eating cereal like there and just being like, oh, like that's cool, that's there. Meanwhile, you have other teachers that are so zealots about even a snack at that. And it's like,
Mm,
it just, I'm realizing more and more just the environment that you created and just something as simple as like you saying breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And I'm like, oh yeah, we were able to eat in there and you were chill about it. And you had like the microwave and like it was, as
mm,
you said, like a home. So like I just I'm grateful that you were able to because you said you didn't grow up in Taiwan. Like you took an experience that was like native to how you channel your ancestors. Like you even giving them the praise right now. Like being able to funnel that without even directly having that experience and like it fucking worked. Like I even getting flooded with these memories right now. I'm like, oh my god, that comfort. I would never go back to school, but like you holding a place that held that same energy, I'm so down for. So yeah, thank you for your contribution because it definitely works. So yeah, you
Well,
and your
thank you for
magic.
like, oh, Johnny. Thank you for we've like gone on and on down memory lane, and thank you for being such a space. I
Yeah,
always call you the historian because you bring up stories, and I'm like, oh my gosh, yeah, that happened. So we tapped
yeah.
into that collective memory for a minute now, but I really want to turn the direction of this conversation because you've come now all grown up and lived so many stories and so much life and
Yeah.
learned so much. And I can't wait to tap into your stories and your lessons and really actually catch up with you. But for the
Oh yeah, for
benefit
sure. Yeah,
for the benefit of
absolutely.
our audience to learn a little bit from some of your life experiences. And you
Hmm.
shared with me that you're going to bring a couple stories to the campfire. The first one is on
Hmm.
this theme of confronting fear, and I'm really excited to hear it.
Hmm.
And for just a little warning for folks in the audience, this story does involve some psychedelics or some substances. So if this is something you want to fast forward to, we'll drop like, time markers in the bottom. So if you want to skip the story, you can. But I am
Hmm.
excited to really hear what you learned from this journey in your life.
Oh man. Well, thank you for that beautiful introduction. It's so gracious. Holy heckles. So confronting fear. This story in particular, this takes place in 2019. So I believe this was around. Actually, no, this was February 2020. So this was starting of COVID. COVID starting to bubble up and news is starting to get weird and funky. And so
Mhm.
I had my first experience with medicinal psilocybin mushrooms with my dad. Like he introduced me to it, and a really cool and gracious, eye-opening experience of just being able to acknowledge first and foremost that like we are so much more than flesh, and like there's so much more past this tangible, this cup. Like I believe that we're souls, just having a human experience. And so with that, like with tapping into psilocybin mushrooms, like it really just provided more perspective. So in this sense, it was a random day. Like me and my dad. I remember my dad. I think he was having like a weird day that day. He was like, "Oh, I'm feeling weird. Like I think I need to like go deep within." I'm like, "Dude, hell yeah, let's go right in." So he had like some leftover shrooms, and he was like, "All right, cool. We'll take it at the same time, like on some cool father son ritualistic kind of thing." So I remember, I think I took about maybe like a gram and a half, not too crazy, nothing too insane. Same for him. And so I'm like waiting for the effects to happen. I'm in my room. I'm burning incense, which I have incense right here. I'm about to burn some. I'm burning incense, and it was crazy because like I'm pretty aware of like the rising effect of mushrooms. Like I've had an experience with it, so I'm counting in my head like, all right, like I know at this point maybe 30 minutes go by, I'll start feeling the effects and whatnot. So I end up feeling it a bit earlier. So I think this was like in 30 minutes, where usually it's like 50 to an hour. So I'm actually like looking at my incense stick, and it's like smoke coming up. And I noticed that the smoke began to like kind of take an interesting shape, and like it started to like kind of morph. And I'm like, oh, it's starting. Okay, cool. This is great. So I'm like tapping deeper into all perception. So I'm looking at the smoke. I'm feeling like the essence of my body and like everything moving. I can feel my blood flow. Like everything is just so much more in tune. And so it got to a point where I think it was around like 6 p.m. So 6 p.m. in February, like it's getting dark. Like it's starting to get dark outside. So I remember my dad called me, and he was going through a bit of a hard time. I think he was just really dealing with like a lot of overthinking. So him being off of the mushrooms like kind of amplified that. So it brought it more to the forefront. So he's right then and there, I can see like the disturbance in his face, and I kind of not so much walked him through it, but I was just kind of giving him encouragement, some verbal pasha, if you will. And so with that, we get off the phone. So now I'm like 2 hours in. So now I'm reaching the point of starting to get to a peak. So I remember I was playing music, and I noticed when I'm tripping, which is the term for being in that state of psychedelics, like I was really comfortable with not turning the lights on for some reason. Mind you, vicious fear of being in the dark. Like I will go take out the trash if I have to turn a light off. I'm sprinting down whatever hallway so I can make it to the other side where there is light. Like, no jokes, no games
Okay.
right. So like, in a sense of it's getting dark and I'm tripping, and there's this undeniable comfort that's placed
Mm.
around me not going over and turning the switch on. It was really weird to me, but it was interesting because it didn't really feel foreign. It was just like, oh, like cool. The music's playing. I'm cool. I'm chilling, and it's progressively getting darker. And I want to say one of my fears, just with the dark, was like a doorway or like a hallway that clearly emits darkness. So it's already dark in my room, but I can see down the corner where the bathroom is, and I can see the doorway. It feels like there's like an emission of more darkness because it's like it's even darker
Mm.
in there. So it's interesting because a lot of the thoughts that would come to mind in regards to maybe being on a side where the doorway is here, I'm thinking something could run out, a tentacle could grab me from the doorway, like whatever it is, just pure mind fuckery. I'm just like, ah. So those thoughts were still there as I'm looking at my bathroom doorway, but it wasn't loud enough for it to grasp me or for me to even believe it. It was just a thought that I was able to
Mm.
visualize, like, oh, okay, like, yeah, something could come out of there, but I'm kind of chilling. Like, who cares? And to have that nonchalant approach was like, oh, I can get used to this. What is this? So I started getting curious. So I feel like my spirit guides, they talk to me and walk with me in these trips. I feel like it's a deeper connection to that channel because I feel like you're more aware. I feel like your third eye is more receptive. And so in that sense, I walk up to the doorway and I did the thing that I would never do, which is turn my back against the doorway. I'm turning my back against the darkness. So here's the darkness, and then here's me.
Mhm.
I'm vulnerable. Like
Mm.
something could really grab me. I'm right in the space where I'm super just there, accessible. And so I turn my back and the thoughts are going crazy. Oh my God, something can grab me right now. Oh my God, what am I doing? This is crazy. This is dumb. But again, I feel like the volume of those thoughts just wasn't loud enough to reach that knee jerk reaction of running or quickly
Mm.
turning on the light in the bathroom. Like it was just like, I mean, again, we're here, so this is cool. So I took advantage of the fact that I was able to acknowledge that I was having this separation. I was like, okay, so instead of feeding into this very known habit that I'm used to, I'm now choosing the other side. This
Mm.
is like a crazy like pathway. I'm choosing either left
Yeah.
side or right side, and it's so visible. So in a sense
Okay.
of having that, I was like, all right, well, I don't want to be scared of this. And I'm seeing the option to not be scared of it. So let me tap in deeper. I was like, all right, cool. I'm going to stand with my back against the darkness for 30 seconds. So I counted 1, 2, 3, 4. And I counted all the way. And it was funny because, like, I might get to number 17 and I'm like, oh, at 17, it's it. That's it. It's over.
Yeah.
17 goes by. I'm at 21 now. I'm like, okay, well, I made it past. These are thoughts talking. Oh, I made it past 21. So at 25, that's it. I'm going to get kind of close and then something's going to grab me. I made it to like 37 and I'm like, nothing happened. Okay. I turn on my left side. Now I have my peripheral vision where I might see like a floater in my eye and that might catch me off guard. So
Mm.
I'm like, oh, shit. Nothing. I'm like, all right, cool. I'm going to count for 30 seconds. Count for 30 seconds on the left side. Same thoughts. Okay, well, now it's my peripheral vision. What if I see something go by really fast and nothing? I'm at 17 and I'm kind of comfortable because I feel like I did the most vulnerable thing first, which was my back
Mm.
turned towards the side.
Mhm.
Peripheral vision, you kind of have like a warning. In this case, I already went through not having a warning, so having a warning was a lot safer. Boom, 30 seconds. Okay, cool. I'm turning directly towards the darkness, and I'm like, oh, all right, this one's a little pinchy because now I'm looking into the void directly. Now I have to face whatever I think is there. But then
Mm.
there was this weird sense of comfort because it was like, wait a minute, I'm so busy questioning what I think is in the dark that I'm not actually accepting what the dark is. Like, I'm focused more on the
Oh.
concept. Yeah,
Oh,
I
full
love
body
it. Yeah,
chills.
yeah. It was like I'm. This is a concept that I'm attaching myself to, and again, to have that split perspective of here's an old habit, and then here's this new thing that I'm discovering that feels more comfortable and kind of more logical, because I'm like, here's this darkness that's harmless. It's actually like it's actually kind of cool. So now that I'm starting to peak, now like it feels like the darkness was kind of like warping a little bit, but it's like I'm just looking at nothing with these lines that are creating this wave, the shock wave, and I was like,
Mm.
well, that's actually pretty sick. Now there's more interest and there's fear. At this point, fear's out the window, and I was like, wait, did I just like conquer my fear of the darkness? And then I walk inside. So 30 probably like a minute goes by of me just being like, the dark looks cool. I walk inside now, and then I close the door. So now I'm submerged in darkness. I'm standing in there, and I'm like, okay, this kind of feels like the final test of this entire thing, and I've done pretty well. I'm looking A plus as fuck over here. This is tight. And then I hear a voice go, "You are not your mind."
Mm.
I'm not my mind. Then it was like, and this isn't verbatim, but it was along the lines of like, you are not fear. Like the darkness doesn't hold fear. Like you are the perceiver. Like you don't have to hold fear here. So again, having more reassurance in that sense and not having that voice, it was like the voice was replaced. What was fear was like curiosity. Like, hey, like you do realize this wave of fear is what you're choosing to connect yourself to. Because then it was
Mm.
like, now that I'm submerged in pitch black darkness, okay, there could be something in the corner that I really can't see that can grab me. So then I go, oh, where I usually would run out, I'm going to walk to that corner and I'm going to feel the walls and go, oh, the wall's right here. Oh, here's a part of the shower that's right here. Oh, here's the handle. Oh, there's nothing there. It's just all the things that are here, but I just can't see it. Okay, damn. Well, something could look at me in the mirror. Maybe there's some glowing red eyes. I look above the shower. I can see a little bit of like my head from the fact that now the light from the outside, from maybe the light that's on, is peeking through. And I'm like, oh, cool. All right, cool. And then at that point, I've circulated the whole bathroom and now I'm chilling. So now I'm sitting on the floor in the bathroom, like, oh, wow, this is tight. My eyes have adjusted now because I've been in there for probably like 5 or 10 minutes at this point. So it's like I was able to fully walk through not only the fear, but the cause. It was like,
Oof.
you get to understand the why. Like, why is it that you feel something's going to grab you in the darkness? Well, because the darkness is unknown, and it's also directly associated
Yeah.
with scary movies that have told you that if you leave your feet out the blanket, something's going to grab you from under. Or if you stand in the darkness and you turn to your friend for a climactic moment, you're going to get sucked in somehow. So being able to acknowledge those tethers that I didn't even care to attach myself to in the first place, it was like, okay, cool, bet. And then I walked out the bathroom and I was like, did I just conquer my fear of the darkness? Like, holy shit. And then the trip just continued. And then it was like, my perspective from that point on was just like, I have the ability to choose outside of my own habits, but then too, like, choose to be present. 'Cause that's really what it was. It was just like,
Mm. Yeah.
instead of being engulfed in my mind and being like, oh no, this is crazy, this is scary, it was like, the dark actually is kind of cool. Like here's a moment where, 99.9% of the day where I'm seeing everything. Here's this pocket where I get to experience kind of nothingness. And then I started taking
Mm.
showers in the dark. After I took showers in the dark, like there's this running joke about like, taking a shower and like you're washing your hair and then you have to close your eyes because you don't want soap to get in your eyes.
Yeah.
But in that time of closing your eyes is when the boogeyman can come and get you. I went through like the boot camp of that, where it's like I'm in the dark, I already can't see anything. I'm closing my eyes also in the dark, and then opening my eyes and being like, "Oh, I'm actually enjoying this, and this is cool." I found dark showers to be more cathartic than showers with the
Mm-hmm.
light on. At
Mm-hmm.
that point, I knew I was good. So yeah,
Oof.
that was the clearing that fear, just acknowledging it. So yeah, that was that.
Wow. Powerful story. First of all, masterclass in storytelling, Sir
Thank you.
Dushon.
Well,
Shiny
thank
with the
you. Thank you.
stories. Like, let's break it down. First of all, the imagery was so vivid. You tapped
Oh,
into
thank
all
you.
five senses to walk us through that
Mm,
memory. But you also really tapped into your past self's experience of
Mhm.
it, even though you've
Yeah.
arrived at a higher consciousness now. You let us like
Mhm.
go through those and revisit those fears and questions and what ifs, and took us through that transformation. And then the
Yeah.
entire story packaged up this powerful lesson that we can all take something from, and like some really like mic drop bars too, right? Where it's not, what did
Staying
you say? I
tuned.
wish I wrote it down at the time. It was like, it's not the fear of the dark itself, it's you're attached
Mhm.
to the concept, right? You're attached to
Yes.
the
Yeah.
unknown, and the concept
Yeah.
of the what if, not you haven't even taken the time to get to
Yeah.
know the darkness. You said something along those lines. So
Absolutely.
amazing. We're going to
Yeah.
unpack this lesson a little bit, but I have a couple questions. One,
Yeah.
could you do a float tank now?
Oh, absolutely. Oh my God.
Yeah.
I've
Okay.
it hasn't really been in like my ecosphere. So now that you're mentioning it, I'm like, oh, I gotta set that up. So yes, absolutely.
I've
Have you
never
done it?
tried it, but like, no, I haven't tried it. Um,
Yeah.
I, I, I feel like I would go and try to experience it with you if we could have a shared moment. There's a
Yes.
couple things, like I don't have a lot of fears. It's not the
Yeah.
fear of the dark, but
Hmm.
one thing that trips me out, like perception wise, sensory wise, is like a little bit of the claustrophobia thing, like a fear of being trapped.
Mm.
So I definitely
Yeah.
feel like I would go through that experience to kind of experience what you did, went through in this
Yeah.
story of like, what is it that's making me feel so, like hesitant or panicked or whatever,
Yeah.
and see what I learn on the other side of that for sure. So
Absolutely.
that was
Yeah.
question one. Question two, when you talk about this fear of the dark, it seems like it was like always with you up until the point of the story. Like, do you have an early memory of being affected by the dark, or did it onset
Ooh.
later in life?
Yeah. Okay. That's a great question because now I get to do some more shadow work right now. This is tight. This is see. Thank you. Yes. I I had have a wonderful god brother, and I believe he's like 2 or 3 years older than me. So being around him a bunch, like I think being 6 and he's 9, like I'm
Hmm.
super like into his world and shit like that. And one of the things that he was super into was like scary shit, like scary movies and whatnot, and
Hmm.
like just kind of popping out the corner, rah, like and be like, oh shit, oh my god. So there was certainly moments in that 6, 7, 8 range where like I might be walking in the room and he's under the blanket, it's dark and blah, and I'm like, ah, shit. So having that sense of response directly and it being associated with the dark, it's like, well, that's a core memory that's not attached to this
Yeah.
one thing that's already so unknown. Kind of fuck that. So that's like a part of
Yeah.
that piece of just like, oh yeah,
Mm.
okay, so here's this experience. I don't want to touch that anymore. So yeah, that was a factor.
Wow. Yeah, and how powerful, like you were immediately able to identify then the origin point of like where
Hmm.
that fear started to become a visceral, like recurrent experience for you, that every
Yeah,
time there was dark, it became like that fight or flight response that you had been introduced
yeah,
to in some of these, like whether it was from watching the movies or then also like the
mm,
extra, because I totally get you. Like, I mean, we're kids growing up,
yeah,
like scaring each other was, I feel like, a very common childhood experience, but it is
yes,
important to like acknowledge and not minimize how lasting some of the
mm,
effects of those core memories become, right? So that is
absolutely,
frustrating.
yeah,
Yeah.
100%. I'm learning that more now as I grow. It's like those things that kind of you kind of ignore and kind of pass by, kind of
Mhm.
resurface at certain points, and like triggers are crazy. I'm sure, as you know. So
Yeah.
yeah, trying to get him out of here because it's a lot. So yeah,
Yeah, for sure. Okay, I had one more question, then we'll like try to unpack that lesson a little bit before we move into our
yeah.
next story. Um, you mentioned that this was all facilitated by this shrooms trip. Do you
Hmm.
feel like you could have gone through that experience of transmuting fear into curiosity, and then from curiosity into actual like full acceptance, right? What you called
Hmm.
conquering your fears. Do you feel like you could have had that transformation without the support or the assistance of that medicine?
Mm. I would say yeah, because I feel like
Mm.
there was already an innate curiosity that was there,
Mm.
and which was just catalyzed by something like shrooms. but in a sense of that curiosity being there already, I feel like I would have discovered it some other way that just wasn't there based upon like shrooms being a helper. So yeah, I feel like because of the fact that I was already, like, damn, I would love to permanently have a therapist and life coach because I want to figure out what this trauma is. I think in a sense of having that mentality at that point in time, I would have figured it out some way, somehow, maybe in a different scenario. So
Mm.
definitely so. Yeah. I feel like the shrooms were just like, hey, this is here, like your curiosity is here. Let's kind of place that in front of this fear chip so you can see what's
Ooh.
there. So yeah.
Wow. Wow, that imagery too, that makes it so easy to understand. I love that. That was such
Mm,
a self-aware. I mean, this is who you are, Shon, right? But that was such a
yeah.
self-aware, reflective answer to the question.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
I appreciate it. Like
Yeah.
that you're really almost like giving the honor of this lesson happening in your life to the curiosity. It was the curiosity,
Mhm.
but then you're also
Yeah.
recognizing that you needed a channel or a guide for the curiosity to be able to pass through to get to the other side. And you named, like, if it wasn't
Yeah.
shrooms, maybe you could have had the same channel through, or similar channel happen through a coach or a therapist or some other form of
Yeah.
transformation. So
For
beautiful
sure.
answer. Love that.
Thank
Yeah.
you for these beautiful questions. That's where I was like, wait, I get to do some shadow work right now. Like you
Ooh, let's
look
go.
at the space that you're holding. Like that's what I'm talking about. Perfect example.
I wrote down, because this is something that I've been sitting with for a minute, and your story brought this up. Like by the end of the
Yeah.
story, I felt like the lesson really surfaced, and I wrote down the phrase, the power of noticing. So like,
Mm,
as I've been preparing some of like my story work teaching, one of the transformational experiences you get to do when you do story work is you get to notice things that we
mm,
don't often notice. And in your story, I just heard
yeah.
that as you leaned in and you shift, you physically, like, it's so metaphorical, but
Hmm.
so, like metaphorical and literal at the same time, because you're like,
Yeah.
I put my back, that's one perspective. I put my side, then my other side. And you took time in each of those
Yeah.
perspectives, each of those angles, and then noticed what's
Mm,
happening to me. My
yeah.
worst fears are not happening to me as I pause in this noticing. And then how can
Yeah.
I push? But you were like really coaching yourself the whole way. Like, okay, I feel good with my back. I survived that. I more than
Mhm.
survived that. Let me test
Yeah.
it out. Let
Yeah.
me experiment, right? And then even by like beyond the four sides, just like, let me go into the darkness. Let me then
Mhm.
reach and see, what is this bathroom beyond the
Mhm.
darkness. The darkness actually, like when you play with darkness and you keep getting closer and closer to darkness, the
Mhm.
darkness actually melts away, because there's the wall. You
Yeah.
mentioned it. There's the wall. There's the towel bar. There's all these things that are familiar and physical to me, right? Like I can touch it,
Yeah.
and they don't
Absolutely.
scare me. So the power of noticing
Mm.
is what I took from that lesson.
Beautiful. Oh, beautiful. Because that's spot on. It's just like I feel like just to that point of trauma and like it resurfacing and triggers and whatnot. It's like really
Mm.
being able to see and as you're saying, like notice what's there because of the fact that you're not disregarding it. It's like, what up? We right here. Like there's no running from it at this point because of the fact that we're already so immersed. So
Mm.
noticing is such a good word for it. Again, another testament to just your wording, your receptivity. Like, yes, absolutely. So yeah,
I just feel like a little responsibility to make a note here. You shared this
yeah,
beautiful lesson, and is especially around fear, and the fear was in many ways attached to a trigger. I just want to like share maybe some frameworks that, for those of us who do have deeper triggers and deeper traumas, sometimes that experience isn't replicable without lots and lots of support and pausing and stopping, because the act of like exploring the fear, the wound, can actually
mm,
trigger maybe less sense of safety and things like that. So I just want to, just like share a responsible word and say, as we explore and discover ourselves and peel out layers and lean into curiosity, I just encourage everyone to do so at their own pace that feels safe, right? And so I'm really grateful for you sharing this story, because it has such a beautiful, powerful, empowering ending to it, and lesson wrapped up in it. It does invite us to kind of look differently at some of the things that have been holding us back, and at
yeah,
the same time just say, like, I hope everyone's out there taking care of themselves and reaching out for help if they need to, because this
mm,
is really delicate work.
absolutely. Please. extend that hand. And so beautifully
Yeah.
said. Yeah, yeah. See, now you're so I'm glad. Okay, I'm glad you did that right now because I know we're like holding space for each other, but like you're also holding space for like the listeners. Like, y'all hear this? Like, yeah. Mm.
I mean, I'm trying, Shawnee. I'm trying. You know me, like I'm trying, and I'm only human, but I'm here trying.
You are doing, Miss Doer. You're
I
great.
love you. Thank you for that. Okay, let's
Look
do a
at
little
you.
transition. You ready? Second story.
Yeah, yeah.
Second story, big lesson, and I cannot wait. This is where I really feel like the catch-up session is like I need to hear the
Yeah.
tea, the coffee, all
Yes.
of it. Like we need to catch up. But actually, beyond that, you're gonna walk us
Mhm.
through a story that really, like, we can all take so much inspiration from. The theme of this story is the fruits of persistence. I know that
Mhm.
from the glimpses I get to witness of your life, or what we share in our brief conversations, like I'm so inspired by you. I cannot wait for you to take us into a deeper dive of all the very courageous work that you're doing, inspiring work that you're doing
Mhm.
to live your most fullest creative expressions. But it really
Mhm.
comes as the fruit of persistence and not giving up. So take it away, Shawnee.
Mhm. Oh, thank you again for the intro. These intros are so sick. Holy heck. Okay, so with persistence, and just like a little backstory, like I'm a creator at heart. I feel like a creator of all things. I find myself to be what I call a renaissance man, just in the sense of not limiting myself to what I create or what I can create. So, from visual effects to dancing to acting to directing to sound design to drawing, should I would even consider gaming to martial arts to flipping, like literally everything. I put my hands in everything. And so, with having such a firm grasp on that, it's what I live and breathe. Like it's every single day. It's what makes sense to me. Like I grew up in an entertainment family, so with moving forward in creativity and producing and allowing art to exist, that's like my language. Like I find it to be my language. So with speaking it all the time, I've realized not everyone speaks that language. And
Right.
the way that persistence has really helped and molded me has just been through being able to acknowledge that not everyone speaks that language, knowing
Mm,
how loud and how much I've studied this language, knowing how much this language means to me. It's really allowed my focus to become so much more stronger and so much more forward into that expansion and into that creativity, just to that drive. So
mhm.
just to pour into the story, like I ended up moving from Fullerton to North Hollywood, and this was in May 2023. I ended up moving in with a roommate who was also an influencer, also a dancer, and so we had this kind of cool thing going on where like I was staying at his spot, he had like an extra room, and I was like doing his music videos, all his content stuff, and then too he was just letting me stay. So with being in a situation which was so odd, by the way, like living in, imagine living in like a penthouse, right? And it's like, oh, it's so cool, oh,
Mhm.
wow, yeah, man. And then like you have to boil water and then freeze it because you can't afford to go get bottled water from the store. Like such a really interesting, what I find to
Wow.
be like a universal contrast. So
Yeah.
the roommate that I was with, like he wasn't doing well financially, and then for myself, I wasn't doing well financially. But by the grace of God, like the manager that was down there, like he was just letting us stay there until the lease was up. So with moving in May. The lease was up in October, like October 1st. So we had the summer of 2023, like building. I was, going to clubs with him. We were doing all kinds of like promo stuff and meeting people and in this club, talking to this DJ, all these different things. And it was ultimately to like help his expansion within his music, but also too was shaking the right hands in these clubs, building rapport with certain people. So it was really interesting having the LA experience because I've always been like, oh, like I would never live in LA, gross. And I, after living there, uh, I'm good. Like I'm good. I had the experience. So 3 months felt like a year in LA. So to have the opportunity to be in LA and to essentially get that experience that most people in the entertainment industry talk about, is just with really networking and meeting people, shaking hands, being in the same room, sipping drinks, like really having that experience. It was cool. It was actually cool. It had its fun moments and everything. And getting to a point where the lease is coming to a close, it's like, all right, so we have nothing saved. We have the utmost absurd, gross looking credit. What do we do? So thankfully, on my roommate's end at the time, he had a friend who like lived in New York, who also had a spot out in California. She was courteous enough to allow us to stay there for 30 days. After 30 days, sit. So we're there, we're moving stuff, and I noticed, from going from a penthouse and into like an apartment that is kind of empty because she doesn't really live there. And then we're kind of there, we're kind of noticing everything's kind of minimizing. And then I call that spot the treehouse. It was actually really beautiful because all it was just like every single day playing video games, making videos in this really beautiful space. Like it really reminded me of like my childhood home. So it was a really cool 30 days. It was really interesting. But the question rang of just like, okay, so what's after this? Like, what are we doing? Are we going? Money didn't really change like that. It was kind of still in that same boat of kind of being a little bit finicky, not really being there. And so day 30 comes along, and like we're already starting to move our stuff out. We're moving stuff into storage, and not really having a clear point as to where we're going to go. It was kind of just like, all right, we're kind of just following the wind. Like we're big on signs and synchronicities, and following our heart and passion. Again, that persistence of always putting out artwork and always moving forward. We're just trusting that. We get to the 30th day, and like we're out. Mind you, this was it's Halloween night, so with being in the club scene in LA, like we know a lot of people, so there's obviously things going on. So we're trying to figure out ways to kind of mix into the crowd, kind of figure things out. Maybe we can stay at someone's crib, like maybe something's available. So I remember we had to return the keys to the spot that we were staying at to a friend of the friend who let us stay there. And then the guy was like, hey, there's like a Halloween party up the street. I think you guys should go. So it's like 9 p.m. at this point. We have no idea what's going on. We're just like, we don't know where we're sleeping tonight, but we're kind of just following the wind. Let's see what happens. And so we go to the party. Really cool. It gets our mind off of the chaos of what is to come. We're like, all right, cool. We finished that. I think it was like an hour. So now we're at like 10 p.m., 10:30. We get a call from one of our friends. He's like, hey, yo, come to Revel. We're going to get you in, all this stuff. Pull up. Cool. All right, so plans are happening. We're like, okay, all right, things are moving, but we're not even fully acknowledging the elephant in the room. Like, hey, we kind of don't know where we're about to sleep. We go to the club, and okay, so I'm gonna preface this. So going to a club in LA is, most people are probably familiar or probably not familiar. Like, there's the nature of going into the club. You go turn up, you come outside, you're trying to figure out where the after party is. So you had a great time, you're in the club. You come outside. Oh yeah, man, what's up, bro? Where's the after? You go to the after? What's up? All right, boom. So there's dialogue and there's like an excitement, especially if you have a good night at the club. We go inside the club. The question's still ringing because it's ultimately getting closer to a point of us being tired. So we have to sleep at some point. So it's like, we in there, it's 12. You know what I'm saying? Like we're in there, it's 12. We're dancing around. We're with people that we know. And it's really interesting being around people that you know and questioning where you're going to sleep, where usually that wasn't the thing. So perspective is starting to switch minute by minute. Like, just like, okay, we're getting closer to 2 a.m. Like, the drink is hitting nice, but now I'm kind of thinking more about it because the drink is in me. And, it's such a weird dynamic. We get to 2 a.m. And so we're walking outside. And at this point, no one has plans. No one has any afters. And it's like, damn, the possibility of like going to an after or going to another party and at someone's crib and like maybe everyone kind of falls out. Oh, blah, we wake up in the morning. Oh, damn, bro. Like, at least that's somewhere to sleep. That was out the window. And I'm like, damn. All right, bro. And like the weed and the drink is kind of wearing off. It's like, here comes a sober mind with these very scary thoughts and this very scary possibility. Remember, we got in the car and we're tired. And it's like, I remember he looked at me. He was like, "Bro, all right, I got Plan A and Plan B. Plan A, I don't know. Plan B, I also
I
don't
don't
know. You
know.
got a plan?" Like, and I'm looking at him like, "Bro, no, I don't have anything." And I remember like a vicious warmth that I felt in my body, and not warmth in the sense of comfort. It was just like I could feel my blood. It was like this
Mm,
gradual, like gravitational push into the ground as I was sitting in the car with him, and just acknowledging like, damn, we're on the street as of tonight. Like this is it.
mm,
And it's crazy because we're like, okay, so like this is our first time, and we're gradually making it real. So we're starting to speak about it. Like, okay, so damn, where could we sleep? And we don't want to sleep out here. It's LA. LA is fucking sketch. Like that shit is scary at night. And thankfully, in my mind, I was remembering the area that we stayed in at his friend's house, and this was in Culver City. Culver City's really nice,
mm,
and I was like, "Hey, we should like probably go over there. Like, I feel like it's really nice. There's a nice park. People are walking outside with their fucking flip flops at 10 p.m. with their dogs. No threat there." We end up going, and I remember going to sleep in the car, and like I had some of the most like vicious life ending thoughts. Like just like,
mm,
damn, how did we get here, bro? Like
mm,
this is insane. But still having a really small, tiny voice of just keep going, just keep seeing what happens, just keep going. There's purpose to it. But it's hard to hear that when like 99.9% of your body is feeling this pull down of like, I failed. Like, damn, bro,
oof,
like
mm,
we're at ground zero. Like, there's capitalism that we exist in, and we're at the bottom of the food chain. Like,
mm,
all right, how long before I need to ask my dad for money so we can get food? Like, how long can we last? Like, what's going on? So in that, um thankfully, with like his influence at the time, like he made a post about us being homeless, and people were so gracious. It was magical, I would say, where people were sending us money. Um, the people that we were linked with and had met up with within the LA scene at that point in time, for anyone that was willing to work with us or wanted to work with us, had projects coming up, it was like, oh shit, okay, let's get it amplified. Let's get this work in. Let's do this. Let's try this. So it was a lot of hands in, but it's different when you could wake up tomorrow and go to your bathroom and brush your teeth and use a bathroom, and you
mm,
can shower, you can do everything. It's different when like you're walking into a McDonald's and you're like, damn, I'm in here with my toothbrush. Like I'm in here preparing to brush my teeth in the McDonald's bathroom, and having to acknowledge the fact that you're timing when someone's going to walk in so that no one sees you brushing your teeth. Like that perspective switched so quickly, waking up and not even speaking to each other, because it's just like, this is batshit insane. All those
mm,
perspectives began to pour in, and I saw where immediately it was like, okay, so I'm learning like what I felt was like the base root of gratitude, because it's like,
mm.
oh, I'm grateful to be able to go to the mall and charge my MacBook and my phone, because there's no chargers in the car.
Yes.
Being able to eat is a great thing,
Mhm,
because it's like having that fear of not knowing what you're going to eat next, because, all right, you can go in your refrigerator, you might still have ingredients, you might still have some onions or whatever. You could eat those onions, like that's available to you. You can cook the onions, but to not even have a fridge to even tap into anything, it's a crazy thought when your stomach's rumbling. Like it's a whole dynamic. So upon going through just those shifts in perspective and being able to see more of what I felt was life, because it was like suddenly all of those really excessive and nuanced thoughts and concerns about how many followers I have, or what
mm,
this girl is saying, what this person is saying, boom, like suddenly those thoughts were so small, because it's like I
mm,
have basic needs that need to be met that are now more amplified because I am in this situation. So in that we go to November like 30th, we're figuring things out. We're going from the car to hotel to a friend's house to car to car to hotel, friend's house, car for a week, hotel. Like it was so much movement, and it was the first time where I felt this was the first 3 days, and we were sleeping in the car. So we're sleeping vertically. Like that's the craziest thing, by the way. To sleep vertically is like what the shit, not natural.
Yeah.
And so I remember the first time we got into a motel. This was on our third day of homelessness, and crazy as shit. I remember laying on a bed for the first time in 3 days and feeling my body for the first time truly decompressing, like truly, like actually, like oh, I'm sinking into the bed. I'm not worried about what's happening on my phone, or no, I'm tired. Like I'm going to sleep. And I remember waking up the next morning and being like, damn, I think for a couple of years I wasn't really resting. That's crazy to me. I wasn't really resting. There was always this sense of movement, and it's like, well, you're in a car for 3 days, and your back is hurting, and you're not sleeping in a position that is comfortable to you. You can't lay down. You're gonna feel that. So it opened my lens about that, and it got to a point. December rolls around. We get to New Year's, and like we went to this one last party. We had some weird bickering back and forth. And I know too a part of that was based upon the fact that we are in this very weird situation of experiencing homelessness.
Stressful.
Like it's stressful as shit, like very stressful. So I end up getting abandoned. As in like I'm at the mall, we're doing our normal mall routine where we're charging our stuff up and we're kind of figuring out what the plots are, how are we gonna make some money, the whole nine, and I get left there. And I get sent a picture of all my belongings that were in the car placed at my grandma's house. I get sent a good luck text and I get blocked on everything. Instagram, TikTok, messages, everything blocked. And I'm like, oh, okay, here's this. Cool. Now, mind you, I can't say that I didn't see it coming, especially from a person who I saw actively self-sabotage, actively burn bridges. And there was a point in my head, especially in a situation like this, where I was like, when is it my turn? And it came. And it was interesting because I know a part of, doing videos for him and working with him, a part of my own artwork was stifled because here I am pouring in so much energy into another person's vision that I don't have time for myself. And it was really crazy because I had a fever. It was a really icky fever. Imagine having a fever in the car and you can't lay down. You don't have access to medicine. It was the nastiest shit. So this was maybe December 18th at that time, mind you, 2023. And I'm pissed. I'm like, bro, I have a fever and I'm in the car and I'm homeless. It really brought everything to the forefront in regards to what was making me angry. And I remember it kind of felt like the universe kind of opened a verbal portal of manifestation because it felt like this ringing question of what are you mad about? And I was like, damn, bro, I hate this shit, bro. I don't want to fucking be here. And all this is dumb. And I'm trying to make money. It seems so hard and all this shit. And it was like, cool. What else are you mad about? I was like, oh, I got this fever and I feel sick and my parents don't believe in me and my family don't believe in me. My friends are concerned and they're like, what the fuck's going on? Man, cool. What else you mad about? I was like, man, I want to do my own shit, bro. I'm trying to grow. I want to do this. I want to try that. And I want to do brand deals. I want to do this and that. And boom, 2 weeks later, I'm left by myself. And I'm like, huh. Okay, tied into this person's characteristics and the warning signs and the red flags that I already seen, it aligned perfectly. So now I'm hitting my dad, my mom, yo, this is what's happening. He knew my family, he knew them. So they're like, what? How do you do that? Cool. I remember my dad picks me up and he takes me in and he ends up helping me out with the car. He's like, hey, at least you would have your own car to stay in. Here's this. I'm like, yo, fucking dope, great. So now I'm officially on my own. So I have my own routine. I have my own videos that I'm working on. I have my own connections that I've built from the year prior. And I was like, okay, so despite the anger that I hold towards this person, I'm gonna channel it and I'm about to go fucking crazy. Like I'm about to make this shit pop. I had some people that we were working with at the time that also knew about the situation. They're like, damn, bro, that's fucked up. Like, let's get you whatever. Let's see what we can do. And it was really interesting because upon being in my own car now and upon being by myself, it was like, well, now I'm by myself. Now I really got to do this shit. Like now there really has to be a stronger sense of attentiveness to this force, this creativity that I love, because I still believed in it. Despite the situation, there was still a sense of belief in my potential, my execution, my ability. I get to February. Thankfully, I have the most amazing godmother who like was letting me stay at the house for like a week at a time, having me dog sit their dogs when they would go out of town, stuff like that, where like there was a sense of openness and acceptance. And I feel like she was the one person that really believed in what I was doing because she's also an artist herself, but she's much more aware of money and things like that. Like she has more access. So she was sharing that so much. And it got to March and I'm still actively being questioned by my parents. What are you doing? Like you need to secure something, get a job at least. Friends that are checking up on me, like you're good. Obviously the situation's fucked up. And it was interesting because even mentioning this manifestation portal that I felt I was granted in a space of just so much turbulence, I feel like I had it again where it was like, okay, so I have this routine of I'm waking up in my car, I get out, I go take a walk, everything is dead, my MacBook's dead, my phone's dead, I forget what time it is, like then I go brush my teeth in Jack in the Box, I go get some water from Rouse if I need it, I go to Starbucks for about 8 hours so I can edit, or I go to the mall for 8 hours to edit. Boom, rinse and repeat. Having this locked in, it was like, okay, this is great, and I'm working, and things were happening. Like I, was able to do a music video at a point, so that's money in my pockets at that time where I need gas and food. So like things were happening, and I was like, I need this to accelerate. Like I need this to go to pick up. Let's do it. I'm trying to do brand deal stuff. I'm trying to do like big budget stuff. Let's do it. Comes March, I want to say March 15th of this year, and so I'm at my godmom's. It was like the week that I was staying there. And so, random as shit, it's dinner time. My godparents, great with food making. So they whip it up. I'm like, oh, yes, I'm about to eat. Cool. And I check my email. And it's not often I check my email, other than like, oh, hey, Cash App notification or this and that, whatever. Like, cool. YouTube stuff. And I get an email and it's like ATTN, like major campaign opportunity. I'm like, okay, well, I'm seeing what's going on. It's this agency, and they're like, hey, we have a potential client that's been like watching you for a long while, and they love your work. They've been watching you, and we would love to know if you want to participate in this campaign. Let us know. Just sign an NDA. We'll let you know what it is, and then we can move forward. So I'm like, all right. Now there was one side of me that dwelled in what's the word I'm looking for? Imposter syndrome. I'm just like, oh no, like too good to be true. Probably some weird spam shit. Who knows? But let's just see. And then there's the other side where it was like, is this my manifestation coming to fruition? Like, is this real for real? I go eat dinner. I was like, okay, cool. After dinner, I'm gonna respond to the email, see what happens. Cool. I respond to the email, and then I'm like kind of waiting. I remember that night, me and my godmom, we watched this really cool movie. We love watching movies, so that's like our thing. And I remember being so comfortable that night. I remember being so curious as to what was going on. The fact that I can use the bathroom whenever I want to and play with these beautiful puppies and be around such beautiful people, beautiful household. Like I'm just utmost gratitude. I remember that night, my boy Marcus, he sends me a video of him being at this concert, and there's a song that he put me on that the artist raps, and he chose him out of the crowd to come up on stage and rap the song. One of our favorite songs, and I was like, bro, that's amazing. So there was this like magical dust kind of in the air, and I was like, oh, like this is nice. Okay, cool. And I have a video actually of the night before this whole entire thing happened, and it's so cool to watch now because it's like, damn, bro, like if only I would have known just how crazy it was about to get. Yeah. Lo and behold, I'm outside the next day. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go in, take a shower, and then I'm gonna do this video. I was really excited about the video. I come inside before I take a shower. I check my email. It's an NDA form, and I'm like, oh yeah, the thing, cool. It's like, hey, go ahead and sign this, and then we can go ahead and move forward. All right, cool. So I sign it. I go take a shower. I'm having a great shower. I forget about everything. I'm like, oh, this is great, man. Great shower. Oh my God, I smell so good. Oh, look good. I, I come out and I have another email. And very quickly, too, I was like, oh, damn, that was a quick
Quick,
response.
yeah.
Yeah. So having already signed the NDA, I'm like, all right, cool. Let's see what it is. I open it. This man says, we are excited to announce that you will be participating in our new Nike Air Max DN campaign. And I tell you, I don't think I've ever shouted like, holy shit, so loud. And it's funny, I didn't know my godmom was at the house. I thought she was out walking the dogs. She was like, oh, what's going on? What happened? Like, what's this? What's going on? And so she's within proximity. I'm like, oh my God, this is crazy. I'm like, okay, well, I did sign an NDA, but like, dude, I just got thrown onto a Nike campaign. She's like, whoa, oh my God. She's doing her happy dance. The dogs are running around. I'm like, oh, what the fuck's going on? And it's crazy because even in that moment, it was such a deep level of like what felt like surrealism, because it's like, here I am in this situation that screams failure, and here's this giant beam of light that's shining in not only my eyes, but my godmom's eyes now. I don't know how this is about to happen, how we're going to move forward. And I'm like, yo, okay, cool. And it's crazy because like in that happening, I feel like that was the strike of lightning that I feel welcomed in more trust in the process. Because it's like, how the fuck are you in the car and you're doing this editing thing, and Nike is like, hey, yeah, you guy, come, like, let's do the thing. And I just remember just this active presence of like, okay, here's why I had to keep going. In those moments where I wanted to stop everything, like, oh, this isn't working, cool, great, won't even touch it, cool. Being like, damn, me stepping into another day going, okay, I could do it. Like, it's gnarly because it was just the fruits of my labor beginning to show. And you know, with having, you know, I have my grandma's house who, you know, I would kind of go to at certain points, and getting into like, all right, so now I'm moving into the process of doing this campaign where it's like, okay, cool. So here's a whole layout of the timeline where you're going to submit your ideas. We run through a revision process. Then you're going to select the shoes that you want to use for 2 of these videos that you're going to do. It was just like, holy shit, this is happening. And they needed a place for them to ship the shoes, because it's like, well, you're going to have the product so that you can wear it. And pretty much the whole entire timeline was like, in what ways can you amplify the nature of this shoe? Like, when you put this shoe on, what do you feel? How does Sir Dushon spark up when he puts that DN on his left foot? And I'm like, bro, I do this creative shit. Like, this is right in my field. So in a sense of having that, it was like, all right, I'm ready for this. And it was funny because I mentioned imposter syndrome earlier. At this point, the imposter syndrome wasn't as loud, because it was like, well, for one, I really need this opportunity. But for two, it's like, oh, I'm ready for this. Yeah, for sure. Cool.
Yeah.
Got it. Like, I'm here. So we get to the point where we're like, okay, cool. Which shoe do you want to wear first? And my godmom is like, they're like, what? Like, what shoe do you want to wear first? Like, oh, this is crazy. So that, I know, helped that support system, because it was like, again, to build that trust and knowing like, oh, something is working here in this chaos. Something had to be here. You know, it made it easier for her to be like, okay, when it comes to you editing this video, don't be in the car. Come over, get some rest, get the rest you need. If you need some inspiration, if you need some weed, like, what's up? Like, you got it. So we get to the shoes being shipped, and I'll never forget, like, it was like 10 p.m. I had a whole day, and Nike hits me up like, okay, cool. Like, we ship the shoes. Here's the contract. We can do it. It's all in your hands, buddy. And the shoes get there, and I hadn't revealed it yet. So my mom's there, my sister's there, my grandmother all in the living room. And funny enough, I thought they were all going to be asleep. I was just going to like pick them up. They're all awake. And I'm like, all right, they're all awake. Cool. And I'm like looking at the box that's like physically there. Now I have tangible like result of this work and this opportunity. And I'm like, okay, this is actually batshit crazy. And I open it and I see the shoe boxes. There's two of them for two videos. And I was like, wow, like, okay, like this is real. It's a real thing. And then being able to announce it, like, so guys, I'm doing a campaign for Nike, and them being like, what? Like, these are the same people that were questioning, like, no, get a job, brother. Like, do
Yeah.
something,
Mhm.
build, like, come on. And
Mhm.
for that to flip from this process that looked so ugly, I could tell that like it was creating such a
Mhm.
shift. And just to
Mhm.
have them in that moment be like, wow, that's actually amazing. Like, okay, like let's see where it goes. What's the color of the next shoe in the box? Like, can we get some shoes? Like the dialogue switching, and it was crazy because that's everything that I
Mhm.
wanted, far more than just wanting stability and wanting that sense of being normal again. Was just to be trusted, just to feel
Mm.
that sense of like, you believe in this hard enough for a reason. Like, let's
Yeah.
tap in, let's see, despite maybe the ugliness of what's going on. And
Yeah.
I shoot the video the next day. It was like my friend's birthday right after. So it was like, oh cool, I'm gonna shoot this video. And it's crazy waking up in the car and suddenly sleeping in the car didn't hit as bad. It was like, well, I got
Mhm.
these shoes in the back. I have this mission, it's real, it's moving forward.
Mhm.
I have the trust of my family and friends. Like, let's do it.
Mhm.
And doing it and doing the editing process and getting paid, which was like, being able to have an opportunity that is so lucrative and is so big where it's like far more than Nike. Now it shows that I am brand friendly. And that's interesting because it's like, well,
Mm.
I was manifesting brand deals. Here's this big one that can now create a whole trajectory where other brands can go,
Mhm.
he's brand friendly, let's work with him. And it created a train. And that for me was so, it was so gratifying because it was like, again, just to that point of like remembering November 1st so vividly when I was like, oh, could end it all right now. Like, this is
Yeah.
batshit insane. I don't want to be here. I already don't like capitalism. Here I am at the bottom. What the fuck's the point? Like, this is stupid. And
Mhm.
being able to like have that dialogue between like the producer at Nike being like, hey, we love the video so much. The team loves it. They're marveling about it. Like,
Wow.
let's go. Okay, let's do the first drop. Let's do the second drop. Like, okay, like great analytics. This is great. This is cool. Thank you so much. Like really tying into just the fruit of labor. Again, like it's so gratifying. So in doing that, like it was just such a life changer ultimately because it was like having an opportunity that spoke so much louder than those differences, spoke so much louder than having to worry about where the next meal was coming from or dang, I have to kind of slouch back in the back seat so that no one sees me and they're suspicious that I've been here for 2 hours. Like all
Mhm.
of that was like that was just learning. That was just, tapping deeper into gratitude, tapping deeper into
Yeah.
simplicity, tapping deeper into your why. Like, okay, so you're waking up every morning still and doing the same routine because you want it that bad. And then being like, damn, when I do want something that bad, it's gonna happen. And being
Mm.
proving that and proving that to myself, like so gratifying. So with that, truly one of the most groundbreaking experiences and such a contrast,
Mhm.
really heavy contrast. So
Mhm.
that is my story of persistence.
Woo! Thank you for sharing that story. And first of all, I mean, congratulations.
Thank
The
you.
journey was hard won, hard fought, and
Yeah.
you're
Thank
such a
you.
creative genius. Like anyone who's
Weird.
followed your work or seen what you put out and share with the world can see the genius and the uniqueness of how your mind works and how you translate that into the mediums that you touch, whether it's a video or music or dance or style. You know that like you started this story off.
Yeah.
You are such a Renaissance man, so I feel like we just got such an X-ray vision into the journey. Because if I'm not wrong, like this is why I call you the historian, because literally, like you pinpoint everything with dates and months, right?
Yes.
So it was
Yeah.
almost a year long journey, like March to March, right?
Mm,
March is when you first moved into the place in Hollywood, and then you like hopped around for a bit. But then by November you were
mm,
in, or October you're in the car, and then it
yeah.
was March when Nike came in with the deal, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And this was the March 6 months. We're recording now in September of 2024. So this is really just 6 months ago, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. That's so crazy. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. And this
That's
is
so
like, I
crazy.
mean, I've known you since, like we said earlier, you were a freshman and
Mm,
Instagram was like when I first met you, Instagram was still new. Like
yeah.
there it wasn't like a job opportunity on Instagram, but that started to bubble
For
up. Like I feel
sure.
like we could use social media so much more to document like what we were doing at that time. But you were such an
Yeah.
early adopter of the platform, like in terms
Yeah.
of my awareness level, like one of the people in my life that was on it and creating on it and putting whatever, you and Jabri doing your dance videos in
Yes.
those early years. And so I'm really surprised that hearing like you've had a large following, like you've had a
Mhm.
very desirable sized following for years now. And I think
Yeah.
a lot of people don't know that like you could have like, well, you have like 64K followers right now. You've had like a large following for a long time. You can
Yeah.
have all those followers and it doesn't mean you're not sleeping in your car to
Can
pursue
be
your art.
broke. Yeah. It can be dead broke. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's thank you for like making that like peeling apart that because I don't know if everyone
Mm,
wants to share that like be vulnerable and honest in that way. A lot of people are like
yeah.
chasing the clout, chasing the followers, thinking like this is gonna open all these doors, but actually
Yeah.
like your story really illustrates you still have to fight for
Absolutely.
those doors to be open for you.
Yeah.
Okay,
For
I
sure.
have some questions, but I want your permission first because some of the
Oh, yeah.
questions, if they're uncomfortable or they're prying, like we
Mhm.
can skip on them or we can edit them down. Um,
Oh, for sure. Yeah. That's the
okay.
way.
So you kind of touched on it towards the end of your story. Like
Mm,
you were sleeping in the car first, but ended up being your friend's car. But then you had this opportunity.
yeah.
You're given a car from your father. So that shows a level of support from your parents. Your parents are still,
Yeah.
I mean, very much in your life. And I think you're
Yeah.
with your parents now, right?
Oh, yeah. Actually, with my grandma.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so your parents are in your life. Why did you feel like during those hard times, like 6+ months of sleeping in the
Mm.
car where you could have called it quits, why
Mm.
did you feel like you couldn't go back to them?
So based off of their living situations, like it just wasn't
Okay.
suitable. It completely wasn't suitable. And I think in a sense of having that available, I definitely would have, but it just wasn't available. And I
Okay.
think in a sense of that being the way it was, it pushed that drive even harder because it was like I kind of have no choice. Like I'm out here. So yeah.
Yeah. So thank you for sharing that. I think it helps contextualize even for the audience
Mm,
too, because I think
yeah.
that this like the mythology and the lore of like Hollywood and like influencers like moving to LA and doing what they do. And you can hear
Yeah.
so many people who are now successful who talk about like sleeping in their car to make their dreams come true when they move out to LA and stuff. But like just
Mm,
wanted to contextualize that a little bit for those of us who don't know. And I want to also say your story brought me back to times that I lived with much housing insecurity and being in the car
mm,
or bouncing around
wow.
as well. And actually, one thing I was observing in my internal experience of hearing your story was
Mm,
I haven't I haven't told that story much and I haven't given myself permission to tell it as fully as you did. And one
okay.
of the reasons was because you touched on this like your perspective around gratitude shifted because you felt like you were
Mm,
at the bottom of the totem pole of
yeah.
capitalism when you're in your
Yes.
car. And for
Yeah.
me, I totally resonate with that. And for me, I always, gratitude was like, I was so thankful for any couch I could sleep on. I was so thankful when I could get a bed in a hotel room. I was really grateful. I only had to spend a handful of nights in my car. And I
Yeah.
always felt like, I don't know if I can call myself homeless because there's still people that are outside. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
For sure.
So that was always like a war within, like this
Mm,
gratitude, but this definite, like you painted that picture so clearly for our listeners of like,
mm,
when you have to worry about stability and where my next anything is coming from, it
mm,
really changes. It really tests like where am I going to go? So I
yeah.
guess my question to you then was, um, like you already shared, like that wasn't an option for you to move back home.
Yeah.
Did the thought ever cross your mind, like just go get a job and give up on the dream and do
Mm,
something else, or did the gratitude or whatever it was like just keep fueling you to keep going?
beautiful question. Oh my God. There were definitely times where it was like, oh man, there was one time actually where like I thought this inquiry was going to go through this video thing that I was supposed to do, and just really being in need of money at that point, of course, because it's like I'm trying to figure out, okay, how am I getting gas, and then how am I getting food? Like that was the two main priorities. And I remember it didn't go through. Like the person didn't want to work,
Mm,
and to already be in such a down state and just trying to cling on to anything for any kind of hope and faith. I remember like vividly slamming on my steering wheel multiple times because I was just like, bro, I don't know what the fuck is going on. Like it's
mm,
just not working. And in that came those thoughts of like, damn, like, is this supposed to not work? Like, am I supposed to just be on
mm,
some job shit? Like I
mm,
something isn't giving, and I have this desire, but like, come on, like this shit's crazy. So it was a lot of points that I felt it was really disorienting to that inner fire, because it's like, that fire runs off of fuel, and I ain't really got that much fuel, and I'm being like just disregarded in this path that I
mm,
feel I'm supposed to be on, then like, what the fuck? So it definitely came those times where it was like, damn, I might have to throw in the towel. And then something really cool and magical happens, and I'm like, that's why I'm supposed to keep going. All right, cool. And then rinse and repeat. There was times where
mm, mhm,
oh, okay, I'm good. What the fuck? Oh, okay, I'm good. What,
mm.
like, so it definitely fluctuated until it came to that point of like, all right, I got this. So definitely so I had those moments where I was like,
Ooh. My takeaway on all this is just like, I'm so in awe at your courage to be creative. I feel like for me,
mm,
I'm 36 years old and finally giving myself permission to step into those levels of uncertainty. Because when I'm thinking
yeah,
back to my 20s and when I'm dealing with that type of housing insecurity, I'm like, what
mm,
would my life have looked like if I would
mm,
have given in to that like courage to be creative? For me, I went the other direction. I was like, okay, let me work 3 jobs. Like I'll clean
okay,
houses. I'll like whatever. Like because it was
yeah,
like security first, you know?
yeah,
And so I'm just in awe at your story because
mm,
it was a long game that you played and there's no instant gratification to it. But now you're at this point doing what
yeah,
you're genius at, contributing to the world with your art, and
yeah.
able to experience a new level of security and
Mhm.
you know recognition for your hard work.
Absolutely. No, thank you.
Yeah.
It's such a journey. I like that you use the term the long game, because that kind of
Mm-hmm.
snapped for me like, oh yeah, like I have been playing the long game. It's like, instead of
Mm.
going to what's already established and trying to support someone else's dream, it was trying to establish my own, and that takes time. And that's, oh my, I'm so glad you brought that question. Thank you for the question of just like, did you ever look at a job and have to consider it? Because the thing that kept me in that drive and that flow of like, nah, but I gotta go, was because like I'm going, okay, so if I do get a job, that's me putting my efforts into someone else's dream. I'm already up this hill, baby. Like they did the same
Mm,
thing. The dream that I'm about to support is in this situation. These are the steps that they had to take to get to this level of succession. They had to build their own thing. So
that's right.
why stop in my own building and
Yeah.
attend to this? And I think too, I already had experience with that because I was working on someone else's shit already. So I saw the
Mm,
result of
mm-hmm.
pouring my time and energy and oh damn, I have an idea for this. Oh, I have to put it on the back burner for a month because I have X, Y, and Z to do for him. I already experienced that. And I think in a sense of
Yeah.
having what I felt was both a benefit for that time, but also a limitation for what I was desiring, that was already proof in the pudding. It was like it just doesn't make sense for me to do
Mm-hmm.
anything outside of what is already trying to be established. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a powerful perspective. And just to wrap up the story before we switch gears a little bit, but just
Mm,
like this has been a new realization for me in this chapter of
mm,
like starting something new, entrepreneurship, like,
yeah.
making a life outside of socially constructed systems.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing that I've been saying over and over again is like, there's no way to fail if you don't give up. Not if you don't give
Mm,
up and do the same thing over and over again, like you're hitting
right.
a wall, but like if you put it, you see the vision. If you keep
Mhm.
working on your vision and you keep adjusting and problem solving and like going
Yeah.
with the ebbs and flows and just keep trying um, in whatever, like sometimes it looks like getting better support and getting better guidance, but when you do touch somebody else's journey or somebody else's what they've built, which
Yeah.
it didn't exist before they built it, that that's the realm of possibility. I am building something that doesn't exist
Yeah.
until I build it, and the only way for this to fail is for me to give up, right? So we just got to
Absolutely.
keep going.
Absolutely. Again with the beauty of JoJo's words, because oh my god, it's crazy. I'm getting new perspective on what I was functioning through, and I'm like, yes, absolutely, absolutely, yeah. I have one of my favorite phrases where it's like, as long as you continue to paddle, your boat will eventually reach the shore, and that's kept me going and flowing. So you're amplifying everything and then some. So thank you for your contribution. Even to catch up, 'cause I'm like, I never told you this story. So I'm receiving your words and your perspective, of course, through the lens of the podcast that we're holding it, but at the same time, it's like this is true shit. Like you're hearing this for the first time. So thank you for your words. I really
Yeah.
appreciate that.
No, I appreciate you. And this is taking you right back to those long afternoons in our classroom where we're just,
Hmm.
talking story, hashing out
Yeah.
life. What is the meaning of life? What is all this that we're experiencing? What's next?
Yeah.
And dreaming. So this is so comforting. We're going to wrap
Hmm.
up today with you reflecting a little bit on the overarching theme of this first season of Everybody Needs a Story for the Campfire. And all my guests this season have been bringing stories to the campfire, but also living a life where they have experience with their stories reaching a wider audience, right? Which is a vulnerable thing to do, a courageous thing to do, and it's something that not everybody has experienced yet. But we invite everybody to find the power in their voice and to impact whatever audience they have in front of them. So I'd love for you to wrap up by reflecting on what is the phrase stories that reach, or what is your experience with having your stories and your voice reach others, a public audience, people outside of just maybe
Mm.
your intimate circle? What does that experience mean to you?
Mm. Well, such profound question. Oh my god. Uh, um, what it means to me ultimately is purpose.
Mm,
I find that my purpose is not about me. I've learned that over time
yeah.
of just like, oh, this isn't like I do the thing, like this is cool, but like it's really about those that I'm able to touch, those that I'm able to inspire. And I feel like one of the biggest factors in this journey and process has been like getting those messages from people like, hey, bro, like because of you doing this, or because of this video, or because how you did this one thing or whatever, it's allowed me to continue or
Mm,
just being a beacon and it working, like being like, oh, so what I'm doing is not only satisfying for me, but it's satisfying for others. And I'm provided the opportunity to be an example in that sense. And so with doing so, I feel like it's it's purposeful for me because it's like, I mean, I walk down streets, I'm currently in LA right now, not in North Hollywood, but like, and I'll walk down streets being like, that wall should be painted. This should be cotton color candies. This is too gray. This is this, that, too corporate, gross. What are we doing here? And having and exuding that and being vocal about it, I know is helpful because it allows room for creativity. As a creator myself, it's like I find that to be necessary. And within my purpose, I find it to be imperative that I stand as a firm reminder that creativity is necessary, that it should exist.
Oof.
So
Yes.
in that sense, it's like that's ultimately where it all lies for me with like being able to express. I know that it has and holds the ability to inspire. So yeah, I mean that's really what it is for me. It's allowing it to ring true for others because we can all create. It's all within us. So just for the world,
Wow, beautiful, so beautifully said. Again, I'm going to repeat back your words that were just so magical. Creativity is necessary. And you said the meaning of all of this is purpose. Reaching an audience is about purpose. It's something bigger than you. Beautiful.
Absolutely.
You are such an inspiration. You are such a vessel of wisdom and knowledge. And thank you for your generosity in sharing these stories, these life experiences, and these hard-won lessons. You really went through some big things to glean these lessons and now share them with us. So thank you for your voice. Thank you for being you. I just love you so much.
Thank you. Again, I know at random points I'll hit you up and thank you for some old random crazy memory and just of course as you explain the backstory and behind the curtains and everything, like I know I hit you with that all the time, but like I truly do appreciate you not only as a teacher but as a mentor, as an auntie, as a friend, a comforter, because like I'm sure you have teachers that you vividly remember that were there for you or just a person, whatever it is, and
yes,
you have been that. You have been. I mean, I don't think I talk about other teachers. Sorry for any Western person that's watching this or whoever. Like, I don't actively speak on anyone from Western, and it always comes to you. Like, it's always like, yo, Joe, and that's what I've seen. It's kept the connection to those that were in BSU or those that were in oral expressions, and that's for you to not be fit. Like, you're not even in America, and you're holding people together. I don't even know if you knew that you had that ability. Like you have such a mold. You have such a strong mold that's filled with love. So thank you for holding the space. This is just another example of that comfort. Like I'm comfortable as fuck right now. It's you just hearing you talk. I've been like, this is JoJo. So again, thank you for the space. I'm honored. This has been super fun.
That was just so much love. I'm taking that all and I'm putting right here. And also just I have to feel like I have to end like it's not all me. Like that's like everything that you described is community, right? And like this is possible for anyone. Like when you tap into that paradigm of what our ancestors knew, like what we know when there is just space for safety and love and connection and trust and creativity and all and all the good things that, like you said it yourself, everyone can be creative. We have it in us. Every single beautiful, kind word you just said about me, it's not me. We all have that in us. I think that you just are telling a story of real community that everyone needs. And we were just so blessed to experience in that moment in life. And it's carrying us forward to today. And that's my life mission, is to keep helping people find those spaces of belonging and community within themselves, within the people that they are in relationship with and building with and creating with. So thank you again for your time here, your stories, your voice, all your love. Thank you to my audience for tuning in and being here again, and can't wait to bring you more impactful, inspiring stories next time here at the campfire. So thank you, everyone. I meant deep gratitude to Shon for bringing his masterful storytelling, profound insights, and powerful self-awareness to the campfire. He inspires me to tell better stories. If you want to stay connected to Shon, I've dropped the links below. Thank you for being here with an open ear and open heart. I'll see you next time here at the campfire with more stories, insights, and shared exploration of what it means to be a human.